There is a moment early on in A Plague's Tale Innocence where you're sneaking through a war-torn village, just trying to keep you and your brother Hugo alive. The real horror hasn't even shown itself yet, but something feels wrong, like the air itself is holding its breath. Crumbling homes, scorched earth, and twitchy guards that are chasing you, making every step a risk. You know one wrong move and you're dead. You and your brother Hugo turn a corner and boom, there's a guard, and then you make a run for it. Moments like these fill the entire game, and to be honest, it's quite nerve-wracking, but in a good way. I can't tell you if I've ever played a game that builds tension quite like this game. You know what's even crazier? At first, I didn't even think much of A Plague's Tale Innocence. I assumed it would be another decent but forgettable stealth game. Light puzzles, basic stealth, a story that gets you from A to B. I had no idea it would make me feel things that I didn't even know I could feel playing this game. But that's because this doesn't play like a survival game. Yeah, those elements are there, but it played like a pressure test. Every section squeezing you a little bit harder, somehow making that tension the point. It doesn't try to compete with bigger games, it doesn't give you a giant map or endless upgrades. Instead, it builds tension through simplicity. And then it keeps layering on tension and game mechanics in a way that never gets old. So if you haven't played A Plague's Tale Innocence, I would highly recommend that you do. But it's not that simple. So let's talk about why, in 2025, a stripped-down stealth game with rats, torches, and slingshots might be one of the most quietly satisfying games that you've never played.
But you told me.
My words are of no importance.
The first few chapters are a tutorial, but they don't feel like it. You're not just learning controls, you're being hunted. The world isn't safe, and the game makes that immediately clear. You're thrown into narrow spaces, forced to hide, crouch in tall grass, or hold your breath as armored soldiers pass inches away from you. You play as Amicia. Your only job? Protect your little brother Hugo. She's not trained, she doesn't have gadgets, she has a sling, and for a long time, even using it is dangerous because its noise will give away your position. The game teaches you that confrontation isn't power, it's a risk. Every action feels like a compromise. Do I move now? Do I throw a rock to distract him? Can I even make it? What makes it land isn't just mechanics, it's the timing. Each scene cuts a little too close, never quite letting you settle. It feels like the entire game is trying to keep you uncomfortable, and it works.
You're going to get us killed.
Mommy will protect us.
That's enough.
I want to see
Mommy is dead, Hugo. You'll never see her again.
When the rats finally arrive, it feels like the world tips over. Suddenly the danger multiplies, but so do your tools. You get fire, you get alchemy. You learn to guide Hugo, not just protect him. And the way that pressure shifts is smart. It's no longer just about hiding. It's about control. Limited, conditional, and sometimes barely earned control. There's a rhythm to it. Light a torch, step forward, craft on the fly, use the environment. But it never becomes a power fantasy. Every advantage you gain comes with a trade-off. You get a new formula, but you need materials. You figure out how to clear rats, but it drains your resources. The story gets darker and darker as you progress, but so does the gameplay. You're not just guiding a child anymore. You're deciding who lives and who dies. And the game never feels proud of that. It just kinda makes you do it. In my honest opinion, it's the simplicity that holds the whole thing together. The game doesn't expand outward. In fact, it gets tighter. More enemies, sure. Bigger levels, sometimes. But everything feels handcrafted to squeeze one specific response out of you. Your survival instinct. Even the pacing follows this principle. There are no side quests. There are no leveling trees, no downtime. If you're walking through a field, something's waiting. If you're in a puzzle section, you know it's going to escalate. There's a confidence to this design. It's like the devs knew they didn't need to add more, they just needed to keep the tension high. And it never loses sight of that. It never loses sight of who you are in this story. You're not a killer, you're a savior, a survivor, someone trying to get through it, someone just trying to save her little brother. And that identity, being small, untrained, unready, that's what makes everything feel so intense.
Oh no. He's gone.
A Plague's Tale Innocence doesn't pretend to be more than it is. It doesn't chase trends. What it does is it creates a perfectly calibrated sense of fear, protection, and a slow burn resourcefulness. It gives you just enough control to survive, and then it pulls you back to remind you that you're still in danger. If you've ever been burnt out on bloated games, on systems stacked on systems, this feels like the antidote. It's focused, it's relentless, it doesn't waste a single moment of your time. It's not a game that begs you to explore, it's a game that dares you to keep going.
Talus Benevent, you are to be excommunicated.
One can excommunicate a man, Archbishop, but not a saint.
If you're like me, you've been underwhelmed lately with the amount of good games coming out. There have been some great games in the last few years, but some of them really aren't my style, or I'm just not interested in them. So I've been hitting the backlog a lot, and this was one of the games on my backlog. I hadn't bought it up until this point, but I'd recently purchased it on Steam for $8. I bought this and the sequel. I will be playing and talking about the sequel as well, if the sequel is as good as this game is. If this is a game you haven't played, I definitely recommend it because it's a small game, but it's not a quiet one. It's loud in all the right ways. Tense, specific, sharp, and by the end, you don't just feel like you finished something, you feel like you got out. And in my opinion, it's an experience that sticks with you long after you finish playing it. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for this video. If you did play this game and you did enjoy it, feel free to let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Hippo out.